Hey everybody, welcome. Come on in. It's another episode of House of Ways and Means. Last video, if you stuck with us for the last video, we spoke about what would lead a person to believe that perhaps they may need therapy. So this video we're going to talk about what is the next step. So say, hey, I think I need some therapy, or I need to talk to somebody, however you want to put it. Wait, what do you think the next step should be for that person?
Well, they should probably get an idea of the things that they would like to work on, their presenting issues, followed by looking at appropriate sites where they can actually locate a therapist and research that therapist based on the information provided in the website.
Okay, do you have any examples of those websites?
Yeah, sure. So there's Psychology Today. That is pretty much broad for any particular state. So you want to find a therapist that's licensed in your state. So of course if you live in Wyoming, you will click psychologytoday.com. You would select Wyoming. I think that's WY, the abbreviation. And then you would look through the therapists that would come up. On Psychology Today specifically, it specifies the therapist's specialties, their address, whether they provide therapy online or in person, things like that. And then they have a little bit of an about, which describes the therapist and there's their therapeutic techniques that they would use as well as the age that they service. So you can find anyone, pretty much. I would say psychology.com is a pretty good site for that. And it also includes insurance. So if the therapist accepts insurance, it would specify that on that website. You can also filter your search results by insurance companies, by the specific diagnosis if you already know your diagnosis, or whatever your issues are, or specific techniques. You can filter using all those different things.
So just briefly, I heard you mention specialties. Could you give an idea or just mention a few of the different specialties that exist? Because sometimes people might not even know perhaps where they fall and what type of specialist they need to see for whatever they're dealing with.
So you may have someone, like a therapist may specialize in providing therapy to someone who has experienced a loss. So there's grief therapy. There's also PTSD for persons who have experienced some type of traumatic event. I would say that would probably go for someone who may be a veteran or someone who may have experienced homelessness or some huge traumatic event, rape, things of that nature. These are all things that could be covered under PTSD. Then there's also depression, someone who may be experiencing severe sadness, and they are maybe experiencing isolation from others, a decrease in interest in things that they once enjoyed, crying spells. That would probably fall all under depression. If you are confused about it, what I would say is you can call a therapist who seems to have some specialties that may best serve you, and you can ask them, hey, I'm looking for someone who can help me with these symptoms. And then you can list whatever your symptoms are. Maybe your heart rate is increased, or maybe you sweat profusely, when you are in a social setting, things of that nature. But the more that you can describe what it is that you're experiencing, the better the therapist would be able to assist you in directing you to someone who would be able to meet your needs if they are unable to meet your needs themselves.
And I'm not a professional in that field at all, but from our history, there's also couples and relationship therapy.
Yes.
That's important. Family therapy, because perhaps there's no overarching mental health issue in the situation, but sometimes people have issues getting along with each other, and that's something that definitely could use the help of a professional. So, it's not good enough to just talk to your friends or whatever in those situations. All right, so if somebody wants to go through their insurance, I think it's important that you go through your insurance to at least find out what the providers that are available first. So, we don't want to lead you down a path where, you end up having to pay out of pocket. I mean, perhaps that's what you want to do. Perhaps you want to, you don't want there to be any involvement between your work on a payer situation like that, where your work has anything to do with your therapy. But certainly we don't want you paying out of pocket when you don't have to.
Well, now that you mentioned that, I do also want to say that your therapy sessions are not shared with your employer. So that is going to be held in the strictest of confidence as well. So even if you do see someone under your insurance company, the same way as you see, your primary care doctor, your primary care doctor, they aren't sending your lab results to the CEO of your company or the HR of your company or anything like that. That information, your medical information, including mental health information, is only shared again if you sign a document to release that information. Under no circumstances are we as licensed professionals supposed to share that information with anyone else unless you have given us signed documentation, written documentation stating so.
Talk a little bit about licensing requirements, certainly for whatever your state that you live in, and what would have to happen there to see somebody perhaps who isn't licensed in your state.
So if you want to see someone and they may not be licensed in your state, but they are licensed elsewhere, if they provide life coaching, you can see that individual in life coaching, whether it's virtual or however you decide to do it, and that person may not necessarily be licensed in your state. But what I would say is that therapist would not be able to bill your insurance company for services because the insurance does not reimburse for life coaching. That just hasn't happened yet. It's still a process. And what I would also just kind of point in there as well, I know a lot of people want to see their pastor for Christian counseling and things of that nature. That is amazing. However, I would recommend seeing a pastor that is actually a trained counselor, because there are pastors that are actually trained therapists and trained counselors, and you can see them. Just the pastor who just says a word on, during church service, I don't think that that's sufficient enough for therapeutic needs. If that's what you want to do, have at it. That just isn't my recommendation. I think licensing and the process that we have to go through for licensing, it takes years. So beyond just getting your master's degree, there's supervision, there's practicum work, there's a national examination that you have to take, and then depending on if you switch from state to state, you may need to take another national exam. I'm just saying there's a lot that goes into providing therapy, and there are CEUs, which is continuing education credits that we would have to take in order to keep up our licenses. And so it holds us accountable. The board of the state holds therapists accountable to the services that we provide. So I would just say that it's probably best to go with someone who's licensed in your state, or at least licensed in some state that can also provide you coaching.
So you're saying that Your Highness, Rabbi, Minister, Bishop Davis, I might have to do a deeper dive before we want to sit down and talk about my innermost issues in my mental health.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we have a pretty good set of tools to move forward at this point. So, if you like this video, drop a like, comment below if you have any questions, go ahead and subscribe, and we will see you all in the next video.
All right.